I need to tell you about the other Peak District. Not the one in the guidebooks, not the one you see on Instagram. The other one. The one that exists in the spaces between the mist and the moorland. The one that looks almost exactly like ours, but isn't. And I need to tell you about the people who've walked into it and never come back. My name is James Hartley. I've been a countryside ranger in the Peak District for 12 years. In that time, I've documented 47 missing person cases in my patrol area. 47 people who walked into those hills and vanished. 17 were eventually found, but the people who came back weren't the same people who went in. I wasn't always a park ranger. Before this, I did 8 years with the British Army, 2 tours in Afghanistan, got out in 2012 with a medical discharge after taking shrapnel from an IED outside of Helmand province. Nothing dramatic, not life-threatening anyway, but enough to end my career. The doctors said I had PTSD. I said I was fine. We were both half right. I took the ranger job because I needed space, peace, somewhere I could be alone with my thoughts without those thoughts being about firefights and dust and my friends who didn't make it home. The Peak District seemed perfect, beautiful, empty, safe. Well, I was wrong about that last part. My patrol area covers about 40 square kilometers of the Dark Peak. That's the northern section, mostly moorland and peat bog, Kinder Scout, Bleak Low, the high plateaus where the landscape turns hostile without warning, where fog rolls in so thick you can't see your hand in front of your face, where people get lost every year despite GPS and mobile phones and all the technology that's supposed to keep us safe. I learned the terrain fast, every footpath, every landmark, every dangerous section where a wrong step means a 50-meter drop. I learned to read the weather, to spot when a nice day was about to turn into a nightmare, to find people before they got themselves killed. And I learned about the disappearances. The first one I was involved with happened 3 months into the job, May 2013. A woman named Rachel Morrison, 42, an experienced hiker. She'd gone up Kinder Scout on a solo walk, told her husband she'd be back by 4. When she wasn't back by 7, he called us. Standard search. I went up with 2 colleagues in the mountain rescue. Weather was clear, visibility good. We found her within 2 hours. She was sitting on the rock near the cairn at the summit, perfectly calm, just sitting, staring out at nothing. "Rachel Morrison," I called. "Your husband's been worried sick. Are you injured?" She turned to look at me. Her expression was strange, confused. "How long have I been up here?" she asked. "Your husband said you left at 11 this morning, so about 8 hours." "That's not right," she said. "I've only been here for 20 minutes. We put it down to disorientation, maybe mild hypothermia, even though the weather was warm. She seemed physically fine, no injuries, no signs of exposure, just that odd confusion. We walked her down. She kept looking around like she didn't recognize the path, like she'd never been there before, even though her husband confirmed she hiked Kinder Scout dozens of times. "The trees are wrong," she said at one point. "What trees?" I asked. "There aren't many trees up on Kinder. It's mostly open moorland." "Never mind," she said quietly. "I must be confused." At the bottom, her husband hugged her and she cried. I figured that was the end of it. But 2 weeks later, I saw a post on the Peak District Hiking Forum. A user named rmorrison78 had written, "Has anyone else experienced lost time on Kinder Scout? I went up there 2 weeks ago and I'm certain I was only on the summit for a few minutes, but apparently I was missing for 8 hours. I also remember seeing a forest near the plateau, but there's no forest there. My husband thinks I had a medical episode, but I know what I saw. Has this happened to anyone else?" There were 3 replies, all from different people, all describing similar experiences. Lost time, memories that didn't match reality, landscapes that were wrong, all on Kinder Scout. I saved that thread, started a file. I didn't know then that I was documenting something that should have stayed hidden. Over the next 3 years, I responded to 19 missing person calls in my patrol area. 14 were found quickly, within hours, usually, just lost, disorientated, normal. But 5 of them, those 5 were like Rachel Morrison. They'd be gone for hours, sometimes days, but they insisted they've only been gone for a few minutes, and they all mentioned the same thing. Trees where there shouldn't be trees, paths that didn't exist on any map, the landscape looking slightly wrong, colours too vivid, sounds too clear. And one other thing they all mentioned, though not all of them said it directly, the feeling of being welcomed, of belonging, of not wanting to leave. I started asking questions, digging through old records. The Peak District had been a national park since 1951. Before that, it was farming country, moorland, wilderness. But people had been walking these hills for centuries, and people had been going missing for just as long. I found a newspaper article from 1887. Local man returns after 3-day absence, claims no memory of time past. Thomas Ridley, a farmer from Adele, returned to his home on Tuesday evening after being missing for 3 days. Ridley claims he walked onto Bleak Low Plateau on Sunday morning and emerged on Tuesday night, but he insists he was only gone for an hour at most. His clothes showed no signs of exposure despite 3 nights of heavy rain, and he appeared well fed despite having no provisions. When asked where he had been, Ridley became agitated and would only say that he had walked the old roads and been made welcome. His family reports he had not been the same since his return. The old roads. I found that phrase repeated in other accounts, historical records, folklore, local legends. In Celtic and Anglo-Saxon mythology, there were places where the boundaries between our world and the other world grew thin, liminal spaces, and when people crossed those boundaries, time worked differently. Hours in our world could be minutes there, or days, or years. The folklore called them fairy paths, or corpse roads, or simply the old roads. Places where you could walk out of the world you knew and into another. I didn't believe any of that, obviously. I'm not a superstitious guy. But I couldn't ignore the pattern. 47 people have gone missing in my patrol area in 12 years. 47. The national average for a similar area, maybe 3 or 4. Something about this specific section of the Peak District was different. And 17 people had come back. What about the other 30? His name was David Chen, 28, software developer from Manchester. He'd come up to do the Pennine Way, the famous long-distance trail that runs through the dark peak. He went missing in September 2019. We found him 6 days later. He was walking along the A57, the main road through the Snake Pass, at 3 in the morning. A lorry driver saw him and called it in. When we picked him up, he was barefoot, his boots were gone, his clothes were torn, he had scratches on his arms and face like he'd been forcing his way through thorns. But he wasn't dehydrated, wasn't starving. 6 days in the wilderness with no supplies should have left him in bad shape. He looked healthy, well fed, rested, and he was terrified. "I have to get away," he kept saying. "I have to get out before they realise I'm gone." "Before who realises?" I asked. The people in the other valley, the ones who kept me." We took him to hospital. Physical examinations showed nothing wrong, no malnutrition, no dehydration. Blood work came back normal. The scratches were superficial, but his mental state, that was another matter. He told the police, and eventually me, that he'd left the main path to investigate what looked like an old stone structure. When he tried to return to the path, it was gone. The landscape had changed. The valley looked similar but wrong. The colours were too vivid. The sky was a shade of blue he'd never seen before. The trees had silver bark. He'd walked for hours trying to find the path. Eventually, he'd found a village. A village that shouldn't exist. "It looked like a Peak District village," he said. "Stone cottages, dry stone walls, but everything was perfect. Too perfect. Like it had been built yesterday but designed to look old." People had come out to greet him. Friendly people. They offered him food, a place to rest. They said he was welcome to stay as long as he wanted. And that's what he'd done, for what felt like a day, maybe two. But when he asked to leave, they gently suggested he stay longer. When he insisted, they blocked the roads, still smiling, still friendly, but not letting him go. "They said time works differently there," David told me. "They said people from our world rarely want to leave once they've been there long enough. They said I'd understand soon, that I'd forget I ever wanted to go back." He'd escaped during the night, smashed a window, ran into the woods. The scratches on his arms were from forcing through undergrowth in the dark. He'd run for what felt like hours, and suddenly he'd been on the A47, our world, the normal Peak District. "How did you find your way back?" I asked. "I don't know," he said. "One moment I was in the woods, the next I was on the road, like I stepped through a door." David Chen left the hospital 3 days later. He never came back to the Peak District. I tried to follow up with him a few months later, but his phone number was disconnected. His social media accounts were deleted. It was like he'd tried to erase any connection to what had happened. But before he left, he said something to me I'd never forgotten. "Whatever's out there, it's not evil. That's what makes it worse. It wants you. It wants you to be happy, to belong. And if you stay long enough, you'll want to stay forever. That's how it keeps people." I became obsessed. I know how that sounds. The ex-soldier with PTSD fixating on a mystery because he can't cope with normal life. Maybe that's even true, but I couldn't let it go. 47 people had gone missing, 17 came back, 30 didn't. I created a map, plotting every disappearance, looked for patterns, and I found one. All 47 disappearances happened within a 3-kilometer radius of the same location. Bleak Low Plateau, near a place called Higher Shelf Stones. Higher Shelf Stones is a pile of gritstone rocks at about 621 meters elevation. There's nothing special about it, no historical significance, no folklore attached to it, just rocks. But that's where everyone disappeared. I started spending my days off up there, walking the area, looking for, I don't know what, a door, a portal, some obvious sign of what was happening. I didn't find anything, but I started noticing something else. The landscape changed. Not dramatically, not obviously, but if you spent enough time there, you'll notice. A boulder that had been on your left yesterday was on the right today. A stream that flowed one direction seemed to flow another. Trees that looked dead in the morning looked healthy in the afternoon. Small changes, subtle, the kind of thing you'll dismiss as memory playing tricks. Unless you documented it, photographed it, GPS tagged it. I did all that. And the data was impossible. The landscape was shifting, not constantly, but occasionally, like reality in that Pacific area was unstable. I found something else too. Paths. Not marked paths, not official footpaths, but clear trails through the heather, worn into the peat like they'd been walked for centuries, except they didn't exist on any map, not on ordnance survey, not on historical maps, nowhere. And when I tried to follow them, they'd peter out, fade away, like they only existed sometimes. The old roads, that's what they were, the paths between worlds, and they only appeared under certain conditions. I just had to figure out what those conditions were. I should have stopped, should have filed my documentation, handed it in to someone more qualified, and just walked away. But then Lily went missing. Lily Cooper, 24, environmental science student. She'd been volunteering with the park authority for 6 months, smart, enthusiastic, reminding me of myself before Afghanistan, full of ideas about making the world better. We'd become friends, not romantic, just friends. Someone who didn't look at me and see the soldier or the PTSD. Just James who loved the hills and knew way too much about moorland ecology. She'd gone up to Beak Low on a research trip, solo, checking peat erosion patterns. She didn't come back. The official search lasted 4 days. Mountain rescue, police, helicopters, dogs. They found her backpack near higher shelf stones, found their GPS unit, still recording. The last data point was at the stones, then nothing. No body, no trail, nothing. After 4 days, they scaled down the search. After a week, they called it off. The official conclusion? She'd fallen, body swept away by the weather, lost in the bogs, a tragic accident. But I knew better. She'd walked the old roads, been taken to the other place, and I was going to get her back. I spent 2 weeks preparing, studied every disappearance, every account, looking for the pattern of when the paths appeared, and I found it. The paths appeared during liminal times, dawn, dusk, the moment between rain stopping and the sun coming out, times when the light was ambiguous, when the world was transitioning from one state to another, and they appeared most reliable during mist. The Peak District gets a lot of mist. The high plateaus generate their own weather, warm air hitting cold ground, water vapour condensing, visibility dropping to nothing in minutes. When the mist rolled in, the old roads appeared. I waited for the right day, late November. Forecast called for heavy mist at dawn on Bleak Low. I went up at 4 AM, reached higher shelf stones as the first light was breaking. The mist came in thick, so thick I could barely see 3 meters in any direction. And then I saw it. A path, not worn into the ground, not visible in normal light, but in the mist it glowed faintly, like it was made of something that reflected light differently than the ground around it. It led away from the stones, into the mist, into the unknown. I took a deep breath, checked my GPS, marked my location and walked forward. The transition was subtle. One moment I was walking through mist, the next the mist was clearing and the world was different. The sky was the wrong colour, not grey like it should be at dawn in November. Blue, a shade of blue I'd never seen, almost violet, like twilight even though the sun was rising. The heather was too green, impossibly green for winter, and there were trees. Bleak Low doesn't have trees, it's moorland, but here, scattered across the plateau, were trees with silver bark and leaves that shimmered in the strange light. I turned round. The path behind me was gone, just open moorland, no sign of how I'd gotten here. Don't panic, I told myself. You knew this would happen. You prepared for this. I checked my GPS. No signal. My phone showed no service. The compass on my watch was spinning randomly. I was completely cut off. I started walking, following the slope of the land downwards, the way I would go if I was trying to reach the valley below Bleak Low. After an hour, I saw it. A village. Stone cottages, dry stone walls, smoking chimneys, exactly like David Chen had described. As I got closer, people came out. They were dressed normally, hiking clothes, jeans and fleeces, like any group of ramblers you'd see in the Peak District. They smiled, waved. "Welcome," a woman called. She looked about 50, grey hair tied back, friendly face. "You must be exhausted. Come in, have something to eat." Every instinct screamed at me to run, but I needed information, needed to find Lily. "I'm looking for someone," I said. "A young woman, Lily Cooper. She disappeared here 2 months ago." "Oh, Lily." The woman smiled wider. "Yes, she's here. She's been so happy. Come on, I'll take you to her." I followed, my hand on the knife in my pocket. Not that I thought it would help against whatever this place was, but it was something. The village was perfect, too perfect. Every stone in place, every garden immaculate. People working in their gardens, chatting, living normal lives. Except they weren't normal. I could see it now. The way they moved was slightly off, too smooth, too coordinated. Like they were all following the same rhythm. And they all watched me, smiling, always smiling. The woman led me to a cottage at the end of the village. "Lily's inside," she said. "She'll be so happy to see you." I pushed the door open. She was sitting at a table by the window. She looked healthy, well fed, content. She looked up when I entered. Her face registered surprise, then confusion, then nothing. Like she didn't quite recognize me. "James," she said slowly, "what are you doing here?" "I came to find you. You've been missing for 2 months." "2 months?" She laughed. "That's not right. I've only been here a few days." "Lily, you disappeared in September. It's November now. Everyone thinks you're dead." She frowned, looked out of the window at the impossible blue sky. "That can't be right," she said. "I remember. I was on Bleak Low. I was checking the peak erosion, and then I saw the path. The old stone path. I followed it and I ended up here. These people have been so kind. They said I could stay as long as I wanted, and I thought, just a few days, just to rest." "We have to leave," I said. "Now, this place isn't real. It's not real." She looked around the cottage. "It's more real than anything I've ever experienced. The colours, the sounds, everything is so clear here, so vivid. Back home, everything was so grey, so muted. Here, I feel alive. That's what it wants you to feel. That's how it keeps you." "It?" She stood up, looking concerned now. "James, there's no it. These are just people, a community. They live differently here, better, more connected to the land. I've learned so much. They taught me about the old ways, about how the land has memory, about the places where different versions of the world overlap." "Lily, please." I grabbed her hand. It was warm, real. "I don't know what this place is, but 30 people have vanished into it. 30 people who just never came back. I'm not leaving without you." She pulled her hand away. "What if I don't want to leave?" And there it was, the truth. This place didn't kidnap people. It seduced them, made them want to stay. "Your family is looking for you," I said desperately. "Your mum, your dad, they all think you're dead." Her expression flickered. Doubt, guilt, longing. "I know," she whispered. "I know, but every day I've been here, it's gotten harder to remember why I'd want to go back. And the people here say if I stay long enough, I won't remember at all. I'll just belong. Doesn't that sound nice, to finally belong somewhere?" "No," I said firmly. "It sounds like you're being erased. Come on, We're leaving, right now. I grabbed her wrist, started pulling her towards the door. That's when the villagers appeared. All of them, dozens of them, surrounding the cottage, still smiling, but the smiles were wrong now. Too wide, too fixed. She doesn't want to leave, the woman from before said. And neither do you. You're tired, James. Tired of war. Tired of the world. You came here looking for peace, and we can give it to you. Stay. Be happy. Forget. And God help me. Part of me wanted to. Part of me wanted to put down the weight I'd been carrying since Afghanistan. Wanted to forget the explosions and the screamings and the friends I'd lost. Wanted to just stop. But I looked at Lily, really looked at her. Her eyes were vacant, dreamy, like part of her was already gone. That's what this place did. It didn't kill you, it replaced you. Slowly, gently, until you weren't you anymore. Just another smiling figure in a perfect village that shouldn't exist. No, I said. I pulled Lily towards the back door. The villagers didn't try to stop us physically. They just kept talking, kept smiling, kept promising peace and belonging and happiness. We ran. The forest behind the village was dense, silver bark trees packed close together. The ground was soft moss, no paths, no landmarks. Lily was fighting me now, trying to pull away, crying. Why are you doing this? I was happy. Let me go back. Not a chance, I said. I didn't know where I was going, just away, away from the village, away from the smiling people, away from the wrongness. The trees seemed to move, rearranging themselves, blocking paths, creating dead ends. The place didn't want us to leave. I pulled out my knife, started cutting markers into the bark, creating our own trail. It was the only way to ensure we weren't walking in circles. We walked for hours. The light never changed. The sky stayed that impossible blue. Time didn't pass here. Not really. Lily eventually stopped fighting, started walking beside me, silent, numb. I'm sorry, I said. I know you were happy there, but it wasn't real. How do you know what's real? She asked quietly. Maybe there is the real world. Maybe the Peak District we know is the shadow. Do you ever think of that? I hadn't, and the thought terrified me. We kept walking, and then finally I saw it. Mist, real mist, grey and cold and damp, British mist. There, I said, that's the way. We ran towards it, plunged into the grey, and just like that, we were back, standing on Bleaklow Plateau, normal sky, normal heather, normal cold November wind. Lily collapsed, started sobbing, great wrecking sobs that shook her whole body. I checked my GPS. We'd been gone for 7 hours, but it felt like days. Lily was found wandering on Bleaklow by other hikers 3 days later. I'd gotten her out, but I left her there. I couldn't bring her back down myself. I couldn't explain where she'd been, couldn't explain where I'd been. So I left her near a main path and called in an anonymous tip to mountain rescue. They found her confused, dehydrated, but alive. The official story? She'd gotten lost, suffered exposure, had spotty memories due to hypothermia. She never told anyone what really happened, neither did I. She quit the volunteer program, moved back to Sheffield. Last I heard, she's doing okay. We haven't spoken. Last I heard, she's doing okay. We haven't spoken since. I'm still a ranger, still patrolling the same areas, still responding to missing person calls, still keeping a map with 47 pins. 17 who came back, 30 who didn't. 30 people living in a village that shouldn't exist, happy, content, slowly forgetting they were ever someone else. I see the path sometimes, the old roads, especially on misty mornings when the light is ambiguous. And sometimes I'm tempted to walk them again, because here's what I haven't told anyone. When I was in that other place, I wasn't afraid, I wasn't angry, I didn't hurt. For the first time since Afghanistan, I felt peace. And a part of me, a part I don't like to acknowledge, wants to go back, wants to stay, wants to forget. And that's what scares me the most. Not that the place exists, but that it might be right. Maybe we're not supposed to carry the weight forever. Maybe there's mercy in forgetting. Maybe there's comfort in letting go and just becoming something simpler. I still patrol, still warn hikers about the dangers, still document the disappearances. But every time the mist rolls in, I have to make a choice. Stay in the world I know, or walk the old roads to the place where I could finally rest. So far, I've chosen to stay, but the mist keeps calling and one day I might answer.